Hello everybody, welcome back to Devils United. We're back again with another preview, and this time we'll be taking on Aston Villa away. We've got Andy and Chloe. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's great to be back so soon after the watch along yesterday. Looking forward to we did a bit of United chat anyway as well. It was pretty boring yesterday with the 2-2, wasn't it? But we'll get into it tonight. So looking forward to it. It's good to be back on with you, Chloe, as well.
How are you, Chloe?
Yeah, I'm good. Had a nice week off from work and back in work tomorrow, but been looking forward to this podcast for all day, and obviously gutted not to have been on the watch along with you guys yesterday, but I did watch it back and you both did amazing on it.
Oh, thank you. So we'll quickly go into the chat and then we'll say hi to people. Then we'll get on to a little bit with Arsenal. Hey there, Statman. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening, Reese. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening, Ravi. I hope that you are well. Thanks for coming in. Good evening, Endsman. I hope you are well. Thank you for coming in. And good evening, Niall. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. So we'll touch on a little bit with Arsenal, just because obviously, I believe this is like the first time we've done the double over Arsenal. So, it was definitely something that was great. I do think to myself, if that was last season, we wouldn't have won that game. We probably would have easily have drawn it. So, I'll go to you first, Chloe, of how you felt the game went.
Yeah, I felt the game went really well. We definitely could have scored more than one, and we should have scored more than one. But the way that we kept it at 1-0 and our defence, Mannion especially, for her to have her first 90 minutes back after an ACL injury, it was incredible. And she just showed us what she did last season before her ACL. And yeah, again, just the defence was incredible. The way we were passing as well, and like I said, we could have scored more goals. It was a shame we didn't, but I think we'll touch on it after the season ends. But it's one we do need a striker in terms of that out and out box to box striker who's always in there and not always tracking back, because Russo, she was in midfield, then she was on the wing, and then she was back up front. And we need that striker that's just sitting in the box ready for the crosses to come in. So I think that's what we were missing in terms of finishing. But overall, the game was incredible. The atmosphere was incredible. But obviously, we got the news last week that during the game, Leah went down with an injury. It was confirmed that it was an ACL. So she is going to miss the World Cup in summer, which is obviously it's gutting for us as England fans, because she was our leader in the Euros. But hopefully it'll be interesting to see who gets called up in her place. But it'll be good to see if Millie Turner gets a call up, because she has been good, even though she made mistakes. She has been excellent. And it's second half we did go down to 5 in defence because Arsenal were pushing for that equaliser. And I think when Mark brought Millie on, we actually worked. It was actually at the right time when we needed it. So I think overall the game was excellent, and we just now need to keep how we played on Wednesday into our next 4 games, because these next 4 games and also the FA Cup final are crucial in our title race in the Champions League, in getting those Champions League. So it just means now that if we keep playing how we played against Arsenal, it's our title to lose and our Champions League place to lose.
Absolutely. And hey there to our Lumber. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. What's your thoughts as well, Andy?
Well, first of all, I'm sure Chloe knows me well enough right now, so I'm sure she'll be okay with me saying this. But breaking news: Leah Williamson is not dead. I do find it. I've been talking to multiple people about ACL injuries. It's terrible, and I am gutted at the end of the match. That she's gone for the World Cup. But there was a great article. I don't know if I can link to it at some point, maybe on my Twitter in a bit. But there's a great article that Paul guy did, who does the commentary at Coventry United, about the cult of personality around the Lionesses, and it's like it's terrible. I can't imagine having an ACL injury. More research is needed. And I'm gutted personally for Leah. But I do find it interesting that people are suggesting that they what number is she? 18 number for Arsenal, something like that, or I think an 8 or whatever number she is minute for the home game at Wolfsburg. They start a Leah Williamson chant. She's not dead. I just think there's some elements of perspective there, and and there will be opportunities for other players to step up now and make a name for themselves at the Euros. In relation to the game itself, it was brilliant, but the main difference was Russo. Without Russo, or God forbid, with Russo on the other side of the fence, we might have had a real problem. But I think we are now winning those games that we wouldn't have won 6 months ago, 12 months ago. But we are still wobbling against teams we should beat. Now, I wouldn't say Villa's now in that category with Carla Ward and how she's developed Villa. I'm more thinking about Spurs, which is a game afterwards, which obviously we'll do a preview of at nearer the time. And it is going to be an interesting run-in, really. We've got people like Farrah Williams making ludicrous comments that it's United's to lose, because it isn't if you look at it factually. So there's a lot more noise that United players wouldn't have had to deal with before. Pundits asking questions. And it's a lot easier to be an underdog than it is to be, it's a lot easier to be being the hunted instead of the hunter, So be the hunter rather than the hunted, which obviously would give you an idea for the FA Cup final. We actually might have a good chance because we will be underdogs against Chelsea because of the fact we've never beat them. So I think it's going to be interesting on Friday night, because it is going to be a very difficult game with Jordan Nobbs and with Rachel Daly. Hannah Hampton's not poor. Carla Ward is a very good manager for adding percentages to every player that she's got. So it will be an interesting one. But Arsenal, like we saw yesterday against Wolfsburg, they're decimated in the squad at the moment. But they have an ability to grind out a result, which all the best teams do. And ultimately, we want United to be, to get to that point as well. If you look at the squad depth, all right. Wolfsburg never had pop. You would have thought, especially when they went 1-0 down, it was going to be a cricket score. And if you were an Arsenal fan, you'd probably feel pretty comfortable going back to the Emirates.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with you. And Ravi saying about, did you think Arsenal were a big test? Of course, Arsenal were a big test, even without the fact that they've lost a lot of players. They're still one of the best teams in the WSL. They've still won this, even though they've lost Miedema, they've lost Mead, they've lost Little now. They've still at the fact that they're in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They've won the Conti Cup this season, so they've still had a great season. So it is always going to be a test to play them type of teams. So I do think overall, I think we did have differences there. Like defensively, we was great. Mannion played superb. Her and Maya was fantastic together. Because I've always said that every time I look at a centre-back partnership, I know this will be something maybe you may be to relate on, Chloe, is ever since I've seen Vidic and Rio, I've always thought the best type of defensive partnerships are an aggressive one and a progressive, an aggressive one and a progressive one.
Yeah.
And that's something that at time to time, as much as Maya and Millie's been great together, we've missed that kind of aggressiveness in the centre back partnership, and and sometimes as well that can really catch Blundell off guard because she doesn't have somebody that on as great at defending wise compared to Hannah. So I think having that someone who's a bit more aggressive next to Hannah as well really makes a lot more of a difference.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you just said, Maisy, that we need to two centre backs work well when they're both not the same. One's the aggressor, one's the progressor, and if they work together and they work the same way, it doesn't work all the time. These little mistakes happening. But so when you rotate or when you put someone different on, so say you take Millie off and put Mannion on, Mannion's a lot more aggressive. She goes for the ball a lot more. Whereas Millie, she does go for the ball, but she doesn't go in it as an aggressive way or stuff like that. And if we remember back to last season before Mannion did her ACL, we can say Mannion and Millie were our best centre-backs. They worked incredible. And I think if we didn't lose Mannion at a crucial stage just before, I think, was it just after Arsenal or just before Arsenal?
I think it was just before because it was Maria and Hayley Ladd who ended up playing with each other, and Hannah and Maria and Diane, but then Diane picked up an injury, and once she had an injury, they didn't bring her back in.
Yeah, exactly. And it was, I think if we hadn't have lost Mannion then, we would have been fighting for Champions League for the top three last season. And now we've got Mannion back. We've got a full strength squad who work together, who we can rotate. And yes, Mark Skinner doesn't use his 5 subs when he should do, or he brings them on later on. But I think for us, in terms of how they played on Wednesday, it was incredible. Having Mannion back in the squad for the 90 minutes, I was so happy for her. And I said it to one of my friends. I said, do we take Mannion off now? Because it's her first 90 minutes back. Like, we don't want to get in any other injuries. Arsenal coming in a bit aggressive now. I don't want to risk her. But I was glad that she actually stayed on, and Mark made that decision in terms of not taking Maya or Mannion off and taking someone else off and bringing Millie in to make it a 5 at the back. And when he did that, it worked because he did it at a time when it was needed. He didn't do it too early. He didn't do it too late. And I think for us, it worked that way. And if I was to pick like a certain partnership, I think if we're playing bigger teams, like the Arsenal, the Chelsea, I would say start Mannion because she is that aggressor. She is that pro-aggressor. She's that player that in the back, she will go for every ball. She will defend. She will make crucial tackles when it's necessary or when it's on the edge of the box. She will make that. And if you have to say who to take out, I would take Millie out for Mannion and use it and do Maya and let Maya learn from Mannion in the way of how Mannion plays and get it from that. And then in like the games like Brighton, Everton, play Millie and Maya and rest Mannion. So that's the way for me that I would make Mannion our crucial big games defender and use Millie as our other games. But obviously, Mark doesn't change.
We already know that.
I mean, he did for the game against Arsenal, which was so interesting. But as I said, I discussed on a couple of pods that Millie has been making some quite significant mistakes. The interesting thing is, what's in his head regarding Jade Riviera? Where does she even play is a good question, to be honest, because I don't know. I've heard of multiple people that I respect that she's world class. So where's she going to go? I think she's a fullback, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, she's a full.
But obviously Hannah has been really doing very, very well recently and had a very good game against Arsenal. So where we gonna do on that? But what I would say is that I forgot, because I haven't seen Marion play for a while, the quality that she had with her feet, some of the turns that she was doing. I didn't feel at all that she wasn't anything but confident with the ball. Certainly sometimes there's been a bit of Bambi on ice when it comes to Millie. If she gets it when she's not expecting it, she might panic and do a miscue or something like that. Mannion was very, very purposeful with her movements, as she did a couple of quite pretty turns as well. She obviously felt very comfortable on the pitch. And I was very surprised actually that he did that. And actually, in relation to Villa, I would keep her in the starting 11 personally.
Yeah.
I would also love to know again what's in Skinner's head about Jade Riviera. If she's fit, why aren't we playing her? What's the plan? Unless she literally has just been brought in for when Honor goes, if that's the case, which is what I worry about, because we didn't get her for free, remember? Actually, I don't know. Actually, we got her. I don't think she was unattached, wasn't she? She was unattached. She was a college player. It's a little bit like Russo in that respect.
Yeah.
But I'd be very interested to see what happens with Mannion versus Millie. A lot of love in, I don't dislike Millie, but a lot of love in the fan base because she's an OG 21. Maybe the fact that Skinner's actually bringing her in is because it's like, Skinner not rotating versus the love of Birmingham. Like, there's two elements of his personality there that something's got to give. Or anybody who's been near Birmingham or been played for Birmingham or is a Brummie. But yeah, I agree with what Chloe's saying. I think that I think she's really good, and it gives us a great option against Villa. At least it means we've got another thing to talk about, because previously all the really bits he would rotate is, well, is it going to be Paris over Garcia over Leon before she went away, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And hey there, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Before we touch on a little bit more about Villa, there was some more football confirmations. And in terms of that is who's coming up from the Championship. And that is Bristol, which I think out of them all, I think we was all very happy about that, just because we didn't want London Lionesses going up.
London City Lionesses. It sounds like one of those games when you were younger where they couldn't afford the rights, so they made up the team names like London FC and Manchester Northerners and stuff like that. It kind of sounds a little bit like that. No, I mean, I don't know much about London Lionesses, London City Lionesses, but the fact that they're bought by private equity, which means that it's like city money. So they haven't got a Ryan Reynolds or Rob McEnany behind them. They haven't got somebody who actually cares. They've got literally a company that the second that investment isn't profitable, they will go. Because the whole point of private equity is you go in and you sell it at a profit at some point. But they have got a sponsorship with Foodies, however you say it. We Are Foodies, who provide their kits. And I know that she's a big advocate for the women's game there. So she's not that stupid. So they might not be as bad as they initially look. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased about Bristol coming up. I don't know if you want to talk on it, Maisy, as well. I was just trying to find the article as well. But Daniel Levy, he's the Spurs owner, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the chairman. I don't like that guy.
Yeah,
money-grabbing little toad.
You're gonna love him even more, because if you heard about what he said today, Chloe might be aware of it.
What did the toad say?
I've put it in. I put it in the group. So basically, what he's basically said.
Oh yeah.
That he thinks that the WSL shouldn't have relegations or promotions and just be a single club.
Single
club.
Yeah.
It would then make the teams invest more.
This guy is a beta top baller.
and he's just sacked the manager.
Yeah, he
From
sacked his
Tottenham as well.
interim manager. What? Oh,
Oh, bring on,
what?
bring on.
What's
Ferg.
rather worrying, I've just seen this here. It says that the league structure is currently under review. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think we're
news to-
expanding.
Oh,
expanding.
great! That's good. That's good. See, nobody even likes Daniel Levy. Look, Levy is clueless. Levy doesn't have a clue about football. No one likes the guy. Honestly,
Yeah, so I
out of
think
all owners, if I was obviously going to be unbiased, Daniel Levy would be one of the ones I don't like the most.
yeah,
So
agreed.
He's hanging.
I'm just looking at the article now from the Daily Mail, apparently. So apologies for the source, but it states that Levy is understood to be one of several executives
I've got it here.
who believe that the best way for the sport to grow is to focus being on more competitive, sustainable top flight. Does this remind you of the Super League and the men for any chance? Arguing that clubs would invest more and if there's no threat for relegation. Current relegation in place in 2014 with Bristol City, Birmingham and London City battling to secure places. This was done before the weekend. But obviously, he's only saying this because Tottenham aren't safe from relegation at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason.
We all know.
That's the only reason he's saying it. Arsenal chief executive, and I'm not going to pronounce that name, is currently chairing a working group on the women's professional game with the aim of a new structure being in place for the 2024-2025 season.
I've got it here.
Yeah, have you got it?
Yeah.
I'm just scrolling down, just reading some of it that's interesting. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't look. So it's kind of just to be honest, it's a non-story because halfway down the page it starts talking about a men's issue when it comes to the Premier League. This is a classic example of my team is currently under threat of relegation. I want to take my ball and go home. Because obviously Spurs is terrible, but they've never been really under threat of relegation. Even I know that from the men's. And he's going, he's going to put any money in. Well, who's going to put any money in? If there's no promotion relegation, there's no incentive to put any money in because there's no incentive to because you're not going to lose. You're not going to drop down.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It works the opposite way around.
And obviously, we're in Women's Champions League as well, so he can't do it. We can't do it.
Wouldn't that be the case? Like, if there was no promotion or relegation, we won't be able to play in the Champions League.
Exactly. We have to have promotion and relegation because and even if he's saying promotion, so he doesn't want the Championship to come up and get the money for coming up. So that's how they get invested. And another thing that happened today was Bristol City announced that their new home for the 2023 season is going to be Ashton Gate, which I find very, very happy. I'm happy with that because I think me and Andy were having a chat and the ground that they were at wasn't under Super League rules. It weren't efficient enough, I think it was.
I don't understand that personally, though, because how the hell is Everton legal then? Because me and you have both been at that performance centre. You got a really nice stand. And the pitch was pretty good. Unless it's Astro. Was it Astro in Bristol? I didn't notice fully. Was it fully Astro? Is that what the issue
Astro,
was?
yeah. Whereas I think they're Astro, whereas Walton Hall Park aren't Astro. They're grass. And that's why Super League has to be grass. It can't be Astro.
Yeah.
So that's why when Bristol City played in the Conti Cup, all their games were at Ashton Gate. So that's why I have a feeling that they're not allowed to use that pitch.
I mean, it's going to be interesting next season because there's going to be a bit of a crowd when it comes to Ashton Gate because Bristol Bears rugby team, the men's rugby team, play at Ashton Gate. Bristol City men play at Ashton Gate. Bristol City women play at Ashton Gate. Like, how are we going to fit them in? How's that going to work? So it'll
be one on Friday night, one Saturday night, one Sunday night.
The pitch is going to get mullered if they're not careful.
It's a bit like, though, for the men's zero, like, because two clubs are playing, like, there's obviously AC Milan and Inter Milan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Playing at the same ground.
Yeah, that's mad. And you've got to think of, like,
they have to make sure that one's a home, one's away.
Yeah.
At all times.
And I think as well, like, we have to work, I think with, obviously, United playing at the Sports Village, they've got to work out when Lee need the ground, because obviously in the rugby league they'll work it around, because I think obviously we should have played Saturday against Arsenal, and then Lee were playing the day after us in the rugby league match. So even when you share a pitch with rugby league, they're either playing before you or they're playing after you. And it could even be that they play midweek and then you're back on Friday, Saturday. And then it's mental how we have to share when we share pitches with rugby.
It's been great though with Bristol because personally, me and Chloe were down there. We've met the supporters group there. They're a little bit weird, but they're great. They're really nice, to be honest. The guy who runs it, I think he'll automatically say that himself.
Shan.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
But also, Amy Palmer is an ex-United player. Really is a captain, Fran Bentley, but is a captain there as well. Done really well, and was probably never going to be sort of top 4 WSL level, but is too good for the Championship. So she's going to be all right if Bristol City can stay up next season. And obviously Grace Clinton is currently on loan there as well. We're doing a great opportunity for us as well. And I think the manager's quite young, a young female manager as well, which is never a bad thing. Cutting her teeth a little bit like Carla Ward as well. So it's really good. And they've got money behind them because Bristol City are owned by Hargreaves. Well, they're owned by Peter Hargreaves, who owns a company called Hargreaves Lansdowne, which is one of the biggest investment companies in the UK. So they ain't going anywhere either. So they've got back in as well. So that's really good. It's just going to be interesting to see who replaces them in the Championship.
Call me mad, right? Because people want Grace Clinton to come back next season. If, for instance, we extend on most of these contracts, I'd actually loan Grace back out to Bristol. Just because she's been there half a season. She's got that bit of a bond now with the squad. She knows how to manage her plays, and that will give her a good shot at playing at WSL level. See how she's cut out for it.
Yeah, you're not the only person who said that. I've noticed a couple of people say that maybe it's the season after next is the one that you bring her into United initially as a squad player. But it just depends, doesn't it? I'd be pretty chuffed about that. I'd be pretty comfortable with them being at Bristol. If Leicester do stay up, I don't think that's really worked out. I've not really kept an eye on Carrie Jones, but I don't really think that's the best environment for any of our players, to be honest. I think it's just kind of a bit of a dead duck. At least Bristol look like a good squad, good vibes, and the right attitude.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything that's all you wanted to touch on as well, Chloe?
Just in terms of seeing like an original team like Bristol City come back up in the way that they've got more money behind them, how they've got a better squad, better depth. If you remember, Millie Turner came from Bristol City. We got Millie Turner from Bristol City, and it just shows that they've got money. They lost a few of their good players to WSL teams when they went down, and now they've got the money behind them. They've got more good players who are helping them come back up and play how they played. And they've got two of our OGs. They've got Fran Bentley and Amy Palmer. Fran Bentley lifted the trophy last night because I think either she was made captain of during the game where Amy went out, or she is captain. Obviously, and we've obviously got Grace Clinton on loan there. And like you said, Maisy, I would loan her back out. And especially to Bristol, because I think she would learn a lot more there. She would learn. I think she'd learn a lot from Amy Palmer. Is it Rachel Furness? I think's there as well.
In the January transfer window as well.
Yeah. So she can learn a lot from that. And like Andy touched on, I've not heard much about how Carrie Jones has been at Leicester. I've not heard much. Whether she's had an injury or picked up an injury, I've not heard much. And obviously, I know she scored a couple of goals and stuff, but I don't think it's worked out. And hopefully, she can come back. She can be part of the squad, or she can get loaned back out to Bristol, to Blackburn, because obviously we use Blackburn a lot for players. And it's just going to be good to see what this transfer the transfer season will bring, and two, what with Bristol coming up, who goes down, because the relegation battle at the minute it's looking very good, and it probably will go down to the last game of the season, and I think it's going to be one of them. But I'm happy that Bristol are up, and I'm glad that they're back.
I've just had a look at Carrie here, just so I could get a bit of an insight of how she's played. I don't think she has had any injuries, because she's played 15 games in the WSL. I'm working that out for the WSL. She's literally for Leicester. She's only missed 2 games. So she has played quite a lot. She scored in a goal in the WSL against Reading the previous game. But apart from that, it doesn't look like she's assisted at all. And from what I'm reading, she's played more as a left winger than a centre forward as well.
Yes, so been played out of position then by the looks of it. So I think get Carrie back, see what we can do with her, i.e. either use her and play her, or get her back out on loan, but to a team that
I think it won't be that far till we'll be able to do that show, Maisy, of ditch switch and transfer out. Maybe we're trying to get to the point now where we'll actually get you there, Chloe. We've been working on you all season. We're getting quite close to it. I agree. I was going to say, just to jump in a little bit on the relegation element, in case it was unclear, and I'm not very clear. Obviously, it would kill women's football in a heartbeat if you did a closed shop. We are not America. It would take it back to the weirdos who want everyone to win, and holds hands in a circle, pat a cake stuff, and take it back 15 years in a heartbeat. I don't think it'll happen because with Sky involved, they know how it works in football. But I think it should be fought very hardly against if it became a massive problem.
Yeah. Going on to Aston Villa now, I think for me, I know Andy's already touched on Spurs being a big test, but going to Aston Villa away, I actually think this one's going to be the worst game to play in the season, only because the last 2 away appearances against Aston Villa, we've come out with 2 draws, one of them losing on penalties. So, and this season as well, Aston Villa is picking up great points, like against Manchester City. To be honest, they were quite unlucky against Chelsea in the FA Cup. So I think they're going to be a big test, Chloe.
Yeah, 100%. They definitely are. I think in terms of the recruitment that Aston Villa have done, and that Carla Ward has done, has made them a strong team. Obviously, they'll have the summer to recruit many more players as well. So I think if we can win this game, and we can score and make sure that they don't, it'll be good. We will do it. But for me, the thought is, will Hansen play? Because obviously she's on loan. I don't think she will, because they've got plenty of players that can play in her position. But I know the clubs have to ask for permission from parent club, in terms that if they've not got a player that they can play in that position, that if they're allowed to see if they can play it. Because I think if Hansen was to play against us, I think it would be a very strong Aston Villa side. With Rachel Daly, obviously, is their massive threat. Jordan Nobbs, it'll be our first time playing against Lucy Stan again. So it's good that she's getting minutes. She's getting the minutes that she deserves. And it'll be good to see her back playing the way the way we know she played. and Dali as well. Like just to name a few of their threat players. They've got some strong attacking players, and they are a big threat in front of goal. But if we can get past them, if we can get past their defence, get the balls in, get crossing, and get the finishes, like finish the crosses, finish the passing. Don't always go back. Like a lot of our passing always ends up either back to the keeper or back in and back to the back, and Millie or whoever's in centre back kicks it upfield and ends up going to an opposition player. So if we can just move the ball forward and get it into the box, then we can finish it and play the way we played against Arsenal, and hopefully score more than one goal, because as we always say, 1-0 isn't comfortable, and we need a lot of goals. We have the best goal difference in the league. So if we can keep on top of that, especially in the upcoming in these last 4 games, because obviously Chelsea's got a game in hand, Arsenal have got a game in hand. At the minute we're 4 points clear, and if Chelsea win their game in hand and so forth, it could go down to a very tight final day of the season, and all that it's needed is down to goal difference. And even we can't drop points. We do need to win these next games, and obviously we've got the Champions League qualifications in our hands. We could qualify if we win. I think it might be in the next 2 games. I think maybe next 3. If we win these next 3 games, we've qualified for Champions League, and that's what matters. If we can do that, so as long as we can do that and not drop any points, then we'll have the Champions League and a top 3 finish. And I think even if we didn't win the league, we'd be happy with that. But I think, like Maisy said, Aston Villa are a team that we've drawn twice, and we can't afford to draw again. So we need to win. We can't drop points. We need them 3 points.
Yeah, Kirsty Hansen at the moment, she is on currently 8 assists, so she's on the second highest amount of assists in the WSL alongside Tooney and Onos. But to be honest, I can't really see Hansen playing in the game.
No.
I don't think Manchester United will allow it, just because they know what Kirsty Hansen can bring to the table. She was a key player against both the times against City, the Conti Cup game. I think for me, she's been an excellent provider for Rachel Taylor. And I do reckon that she is going to sign for Aston Villa on a permanent deal anyway. So we will eventually play against her. But I do think that you can see what Carla Ward is doing with the squad. I think she's attracting fantastic names to the club of Rachel Taylor, making her in. I'm not saying she wasn't a goal scoring machine, but there were some people who doubted Rachel Taylor playing there in the WSL. Jordan Nobbs, I think she made a massive career move to go to Aston Villa, to leave a childhood club and to go to a non Champions League club, because she probably I think she knows that she's not going to be a starter in the Champions League, any Champions League club really. Lucy Stanley, another one, a completely different career move as well. And I think that you've seen like a great some players who's really stepping up. Like, is it Kenzie Darley?
Kenzie Darley, yeah.
Yeah, Kenzie Darley's a big one. I actually think, taking away all them names at Village, she's probably been, based off who's been there, I'd say she'd probably be the player of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Hero.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kenzie Darley is definitely she's underrated as well, because I think we've been in a squad with Lehman, with Jordan Nobbs, with Rachel Taylor, she's forgotten about. And she's a player that she does a lot of assists as well as scoring. And for me, she is underrated, and she's a player that needs that recognition other than Rachel Daly, Hanson, Lehman, because Dali is a threat, and she can shoot from range as well. So same with Jordan, same with Lucy. Them three players, and even Rachel Daly as well, all can shoot from distance. And I don't think we've seen many players shoot from distance against us. And for me, that's what Aston Villa have. They have players that can do that. They have a team that if they shoot from distance and it ricochets off the post, off the crossbar, off Mary, they've got players that are literally there with the defenders and can attack and literally get the ball, and that's their threat for me, the long range shots or the long range crosses, because someone is always nearly on the end of it.
What's your thoughts, Andy?
Alicia Lehman she's not very good. Let's be honest.
I don't rate her. I must be honest. I don't.
She's not. She's kind of was the kind of player that we imagine would be the ceiling for Villa before Jordan Nobbs and Rachel Daly came through. But yeah, I think, to be honest, what makes Villa really good is Carla Ward. Because she's a great at tactics. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science to beat Skinner, let's be honest, because he sticks the same formation all the time. But we discussed before that, she's getting money put in. She's not got the biggest budget at the moment, but neither have we. But she is getting money put in. But I mean, that's because as a board, they can see Carla Ward is literally getting as the Americans would say, every dime out of every player, literally maximizing everything. And they say that, when you get to elite sport, it's all about percentages, the 1%, the 2%. I know for a fact that there was discussions about playing at a Villa Park, but Carla Ward said, "Why would we give you the advantage?" And that's an element of tactical stuff that I would want in my manager. Irrespective of the fact that she agreed that we could pack it out and all that kind of stuff. But why would I give you the advantage? Maisy's been to the Bescott Stadium. We have to check every 5 seconds because it gets renamed all the time.
Bescott Poundland.
That's the one.
It's now the Poundland Stadium. Let's be honest, having this conversation on Monday, it might be something else by Friday. You never know. But it's not the best. Walsall are in League 2 at the minute. And I don't think they're a million miles away from dropping down as well. So,
I don't know, I'll have a look.
Is not the sort of there and thereabouts. But what will be interesting this time, and we haven't mentioned it yet, is that this is the first time that Villa have given us a dedicated away end, and we are going to be behind the goal on Friday. So again, we have that ability to apparently intimidate keepers, because I think I mentioned on the watch along yesterday. But, Zinsberger for Arsenal, Austria's number one keeper, apparently can get distracted by a chubby person with long hair shouting at her. I mean, that'd be me, obviously, because we were saying 10-yard keeper last time at Boreham Wood a couple of seasons ago, and she got affected by that and made a few mistakes. And then, obviously, a lot of Arsenal players went down with injuries. And we were doing the same old Arsenal, always cheating, and we just carried that chant going on for a while. And she turned around and looked generically at us behind the goal and sort of went like that. And it's like, look, love, if you're going to get affected by our noise, like, what? How does that work, So I don't know how Hampton will, but you never know. So we're going to be behind the goal doing our thing with a defined away end that, as far as I could tell, because I think somebody was looking at it yesterday, we were originally given 1 block. I think we're now up to 3. So we are going to have quite a defined area at the back. So there should be a lot of us making noises. And, even though it's a Friday night, others have got half days to get there.
I've done my predicted start 11. Just for I'd let you have a see what you think of it. There you go. Can you see that okay? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mary Earps in goal. Blundell, Turner, Letizia on the defence. Zellum Lad in the middle. Golden to Garcia and the attacking threats with Russo up top. To be honest, I think that's what's going to happen. I think he will drop Mannion again. Because that's what Skinner's like. He'll give someone an opportunity and then he'll be like, see you later. I won't see you again for the rest of the season now. So, that's the same with Bo Risa when we think, oh, she's been fantastic. Bye, Bo Risa. I won't see you now until someone gets suspended, perhaps. But I think for me, that's going to probably be the most likely one. The only thing I can imagine could change would maybe be Nikita Paris for Garcia.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there's a thing going around. Twitter's a great place, isn't it? There's a thing going around Twitter where it's like, best Simon, flop of the season. And
I've seen that.
Yeah, and it's funny because the majority of people for flop of the season have done Nikita Paris. And actually, I think that's pretty harsh, actually. I don't think you'd been a flop, really, as such. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, personally, I agree. You probably start with that, but I would drop Turner for Mannion. But I agree with what you're saying. Garcia, what did he say last? I can't never keep up with Skinner. He's like a walking cliche machine. He was saying that she's an impact player, but she gave the opportunity to start, didn't she? Not last time, but Brighton. So maybe you'll use it as an impact player and then have Paris coming on in the second half. Just jumping on the Hansen thing, I think it'd be mental for United to allow her to play. I don't think even they're that stupid. I know the only example that we have as a example of it happening is Emily Ramsey when she was at Birmingham. But that, I think, would be in keeper. I think that is slightly different. But it's going to be interesting because if you remember, we've sweetened the pot with Carla Ward because we're nicking one of their best academy players and she can't do anything about it when she turns 18. I can't remember her name now. Is it Little John? The one where... Who is it? And she got all whingy about it because unlike the men's, there's no what's it called, compensation if you take a player before 18, whereas in the men's there is, and they've developed her. But obviously she then never answered the question that one of the journalists said, well, have Villa ever done that to anybody? Because of course they have. It's a wrong decision, but you're going to have to change the rules for everybody. United can't take them all high ground. But she's a very well-liked academy player that we're nicking when she turns 18, which just sweetens the pot a little bit when it comes to a little bit of rivalry there. But yeah, if I'm Carla Ward, I'm not scared of Skinner either. So it should be interesting to see how it goes.
What's your thoughts, Chloe?
Yeah, I think that would be the starting 11 that he would choose. But I'm like Andy. I think I would like to see Mannion start again for Turner, but I don't think it'll happen. And for me, depending on what the side Carla Ward picks, Garcia is probably my preferred choice on the wing. And then bring on Nikita Paris. But obviously, we've not heard his press conference yet on how the team is after obviously Wednesday. So it'll be interesting to see what he says and if he says about any injuries. Just touching on some what Andy mentioned before about Jade Riviera, she's what I heard is that she's a fullback, and that she was brought in. She was brought into, I think when Hannah or Honor were injured. I think
Hannah was injured when she flipped it.
And it was more of a backup for if any of the players get injured, in case, obviously, because we're playing four on one side, weren't we? And we obviously if we needed another centre back, we didn't want to risk for being on as a full back. So I think that's why Jade Riviera was brought in. But I would like to see her play. I think this would be a good game to bring her in. For Hannah or Honor. But they're both playing excellent this season. Hannah's definitely stepped up, so it'll be interesting to see if any of the players get dropped. In terms of how they played against Arsenal. Does Turner stay on the bench and Mannion come back in fully? It will be interesting. Obviously, I'd like to see Bo Risa, but again, it's not going to happen. But the funny thing is Selim is on 4 yellow cards.
Yeah.
If she gets another yellow, she will be suspended for Tottenham. So if we think, I would rather rest Selim and not risk to get a yellow card and play her against Tottenham, but then that's risking her to get a yellow card against City, to get a yellow card at Tottenham and miss City. So we can't really. I'd rather afford to lose her in this game than lose her against City. But obviously it depends on. Obviously, if she does play, she's probably got it in her head. If I get another yellow card, I'm suspended in the next game. So it'll be interesting to see how he works and decides on, does he start Selim or does he bench her?
I don't know if you did see this tweet, Chloe. Like, obviously, what Andy was touching on was reply with your favourite clubs, play of the season, flop of the season, most improved player, unsung hero, sign of the season.
Naughty Maisy, look at you.
What? I was only asking, did you see it?
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I do kind of have I have some picks for that, yeah.
I have my picks.
Should I go first? I'll say it.
Yeah, there we go. Go on, Maisy, you started it.
You first, Mace.
I'm going to be so controversial when I do this. I'm going to be very, very controversial. Play of the season, Leah Galton.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Flop of the season is going to be the controversial one. Ella Toon.
Oh. If you want to send hate mail to Maisy Hall, I have her address.
I just genuinely think that she has nowhere near been good enough this season. And the problem is that the problem is that I think she's overworked. I think she's very tired. That's fine. She needs a rest. But half the time she strolls. Sometimes for me,
know what you really think.
She misses sitters. She gives the ball away very cheaply, and she doesn't get criticism because of the player she is, because she was the one. She's the Lioness's star. That's my opinion. I know that's very. And look, America Cup in the chat was shocked with me who had said.
Just summarize it again. So you're saying player of the season, Leah Goal, and flop Ella Toon.
Most improved player, Hannah Blundell.
Yeah.
Unsung hero, I'm going to go for Hayley Ladd.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Sign of the season's Leticia.
Good shout.
Do you want to do yours, Andy?
Yes. Okay. I should have thought about this actually before I came on. Player of the season, I think you could say I was gonna say Leah.
You can still say Leah if you want.
But I can't see past Honor really. With the world class nature of every single game. If you look at the stats, even she's in the top part of most of the stats. So I would say Honor Bajé, player of the season, flop of the season. Oh, so many candidates.
This is what Twile Lumber said. Flop of the season is Toon or Zellum. I can't tell them apart.
I would say so many candidates. I'll go back.
Do you want to do the other one?
I'll come back to it. Yeah, I'll come back to it. Most improved player. Hannah Blundell would be one because she really was like in the danger zone to be dropped when you see Riviera coming in. If she's going to go anywhere, she's going to win her position. She's really improved. She's got much better playing against the bigger teams. She doesn't really get psyched out anymore or anything like that. Unsung hero. I don't know if she's unsung anymore because most people are aware of it now. But the August version of me would be shocked when I say this. But Rachel Williams, because she's I don't know how it works. She's like our best grandma in the world. It's brilliant. And signing of the season, that's a millisecond decision. It's got to be Maya Letizia.
Have you picked your flop of the season yet?
Flop of the season. I could do a top 3 of the flops, to be honest. Yeah, no. Flop of the season, I would say is Martha Thomas.
Fair enough.
Because I never think I know she's scored a bit more recently. That's what I hesitated. It was either going to be Martha Thomas, or it was going to be Millie Turner, because she's going in one direction at the moment. But yeah, Martha Thomas. I know it upsets Chloe, but I just think about being on the pitch, and we all look at who's coming on. And you whisper, "Oh my God, Harder's coming on for Chelsea," or "Oh my God, someone's coming on for Chelsea." Nobody in the world, including anyone who's related to Thomas, never gone, "Oh my God, Martha Thomas is coming on. What are we going to do?" Because she's just not a threat.
Do you want to tell you my dad's nickname? Like, Chloe will laugh at this. He says Martha Thomas is the women's version of Wegos.
Like, literally, it's like, like an Aldi, right? Like an Aldi, you get they have the packaging that looks similar to like the proper stuff. So they'll have like knockoff Kinder Buenos and stuff like that. When she dyed her hair blonde, I figured she was trying to look like a bit of a knockoff Alicia Russo, but that's probably a bit unfair. But no, I think Paris did really well and's dropped off. Thomas has had blips of good quality, but I think she's hit her ceiling. So I would say Martha Thomas for me. Go on, Chloe. I can't wait for the flop of the season.
Just before we finish, though, the only reason why I didn't say Millie Turner, because it was a contention for me. The only reason why I didn't say her was because she had a long-term injury last season, and I just thought it was quite unfair for me to say it, knowing that she was out for a lot of last season, and I guess I suppose in a way, like, I was kind of expecting blips and bops, I guess, but not as bad as these.
Go on then, Chloe. This should be interesting.
Play of the season, Mary Earps.
That would have been an option.
She's kept us in a lot of the games. She's kept clean sheets. Most improved player. I would say I would agree with both of you. Hannah Blundell. She's just like, you can see the change that she's done since last season, and her pace is quickened as well. And she's just, for me, she seems a lot more confident in herself and with the ball. And against top teams, she seems a lot more confident as well. Unsung hero, Leah Golton.
I think most people sing her, but is she unsung?
But I would also have said Rachel Williams, just because she got us into the final.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leah Golton, just because of the way that she plays and just her being down the wing, she's created a lot more chances than she did do last season. Signing of this season obviously has to be Maya. Definitely one of our best signings this season. So everyone's waiting.
What about your flop of the season? We're waiting for this one.
Right, I had 3 contenders.
Ha! Even with me.
What is that? Yeah, go on.
I had 3 contenders, but I think just based on the way that she's not played the best this season and not played the way that she did last season, I would have to go with Ella Toon. Because she's she was scoring last season, and then she's not scored that much this season, and she's been a lot like she's been tired a lot more in games when she should have been rested or taken off the pitch early. She hasn't been, and obviously I know winning the Euros, playing for England a lot more, she's getting them games in. She's getting that recognition, but playing full 90 every game and playing 90 for England or playing however long for England, she just seems not herself. She doesn't seem how she was last season. And whether that's because she's known a lot more now and kids look up to her and they go up to her and she's in the limelight now after the Euros win. If it's because of that, then it might be, but I do think it's down to that she's a lot more tired and she plays a lot more than she did do last season. So yeah, flop of the season for me is Ella Toon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we've caused some controversy there, Chloe.
I can't believe that I said that the least controversial one out of both of you.
Right,
you actually did. I'm shocked.
I'll say my other two. So my other two is Zalem Turner.
Who? Zalem?
Zalem Turner, yeah.
I think, to be honest, it's got to the point with Zalem where we're just kind of expecting.
Yeah. I mean, Zalem's been consistently mediocre since she walked through the door at Man United. Now, another thing, of course, occurred to me, obviously, is that sometimes, occasionally, United do actually react to these things. So I'm thinking about flops of the season. Now the closely think I'm being vicious on this, but I don't mean to be. Jade Moore, which was never worked out.
But she's on loan, though, so...
That's what I mean. So we put her on loan for that reason, didn't we? Obviously, somebody somewhere said, well, she's not part of our plans. So you could say that maybe that's a possibility.
I do think it's harsh to say Nikita Paris, though.
Yeah, but you like in terms of what Andy was saying about the like if you were going to say about Jade Moore being a flop, you could, because obviously she's gone out on loan. You could say that Kirsty Hansen was, because she's gone out on loan, and
you could argue to Cara as well.
You could, but I'm just thinking about mid-season loans, because mid-season, if we looked, you're not hitting.
Well, then you could say Grace Clinton was a flop because she went out on loan midway through.
Maisy.
To be honest, if I was going to name any more flops, I'd probably say Cara, because I think the thing is that a lot of people expected her to break through, expected her to be the top centre back, even top over Maya. So, do you know? I think the thing is that we don't know what's happened there.
No.
We don't. If that's a part of the manager, if that's part of it, we don't have a clue which one it is. But the point is that we had high expectations and high ceilings there, and she's not lifted to the expectations that we would have thought to be. Like, after that Durham game, she was never seen again on the pitch. And if you want me to be honest, I don't think she played that well against Durham.
No.
Cascanero as well is on loan for us at the moment as well, and she's not had any opportunities either.
There's a lot of players that we could say are flops because they've not played and stuff, but we can't. It's down to Mark not playing her, because we could say Leon. Yeah. We could say Leon because she's gone.
I always pick flops based off who plays. Do you know? Because I just think it's a bit. Sometimes I just feel a bit tight when they haven't played. I think you can't really give them a call them a flop for that reason. So, then if that's the case, you'd say is Bo Risa a flop? But when she plays, she's always fantastic. That's the problem. Yeah. And same with Leon. She didn't even have a bad game when she played.
Exactly.
Hey there as well, Luca. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Maya, she did start out as a right back, didn't she?
Yeah, she was a fullback. She was a fullback at Brighton, but then got converted whilst at Brighton to being a centre back because of an injury in the to a player in centre back. So then it's just stuck with her, and we bought her as obviously we bought her as a defender and she can play anywhere in defence.
Okay.
Which is good.
Okay. We'll go into some of the questions and then we'll wrap up. I think we've already simply. I did that one. Okay. Question from Reese: thoughts on Villa's performance this season, and do you think we will be set up to handle their players when they have sets of possession, or do you think we can control the game? I'll go with you on that one, Chloe.
Thoughts on Villa's performance this season: outstanding. If they keep getting the backing of the club, if Carla Ward keeps getting the support and the money off the club, and they get the players that they want and the players that can make a difference, then they aren't going to be a team that are going to be fighting for top 3, top 4, top 5 every season. And I think this season they could have. I think, are they 5th at the minute in the table?
Yeah, the 5th.
Yeah.
8. The thing is, I don't think they'll catch up. They're 8 points behind.
No, exactly, and they're 5th now, and I think that might be like if they said, right, our target is to not get relegated and be up in the half, like be up in like the top half of the league, and that was their goal. They've made it. So for me, their performance has been outstanding. The recruitment, the players they've brought in, the loans they've brought in, and I would be and we touched on it before. I would be happy if Kirsty Hansen signed for them permanently, because she has been a good player for them. She has been an outstanding player, and she's getting the game time that she deserves. So it would be interesting to see if they do get her permanently, in terms of, do we get a swap or do we get money for her, or I know her contract is out, whether she's got an option year, I don't know. But for me, I think it'll be good to see if if she does stay. I think we'll more control the game in terms of possession, but I think it'll be a mix of each half. I think we say that we're second half team this season. We come out a lot more aggressive in the second half than we do in the first half against some teams, and I think that's what we do a lot of. So for me, I think we'll control the game more than they'll get possession, but it all depends on who Carla Ward picks as her starting 11, because of Kirsty Hansen not playing. It'll be interesting to see who plays in her position.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts as well, Andy? And
I do.
I'll pivot
on the question, but I've just found this. This actually is a PDF that the FA gives the players every season. I managed to find it online. So if you look, what's interesting here is the number of cautions accumulated. There's no cut-off point in the WSL. So if you go one to the other page, Maisy, you'll see the men's. Obviously, men play more game. But as you can see here, it says Premier League 5 cut-off point where it gets wiped is after 19 matches. Then 32 for the 10, and then another last day of play. For EFL, it's the same. So if you scroll back down to the other page, why isn't there a cut-off point in the WSL? Well, I'm pretty sure it would be the same, but why isn't there a cut-off point in the WSL? Because
it makes me think it's because the league's a lot smaller, because there's like 38 games played in the league.
Yeah, we've not got that many games to play, so there's no point of doing the cut-off.
Well, how many games do we get in total? Is it 20? It's 24, isn't it?
20, no, it'll be
22.
12 with 22.
22 to 22. So what? And for the men's, what is it? 38? Is it?
Yeah, 38. So it's just the double.
Yeah, so they do 5. They do 5. Well, if they get 5 yellow cards, their cut-off's 19. If they get 10, it's cut off at 32. So you can't. You'd have to go with 5 cards is like 5 games. 10 cards is 10 games. You'd have to do it in that kind of aspect.
Well, to be honest, I've just done a quick calculation there, and 19 games is 50% of the season. So it gets wiped after 50% for the men's. So why can't we say after 12 games you can wipe it? It's the same proportion if you think about it.
If that's the case, McCabe will never get suspended.
Exactly.
You know,
And she was suspended against Arsenal, so she was
because the problem you've got, if you're trying to keep, you're right, it's going to be an issue. But it sounds to me that, you know, I mean, we can only dream, but Zelen might miss Wembley, for example, because if she gets a yellow against Villa, then she'll be out for Spurs. If she gets a yellow against Spurs, she'll be out, then she'll be out for City. If she gets a yellow against City, which is much more of a niggly game because it's a derby. Then there's an issue with the FA Cup final because it's domestic, I believe, as well. So she's going to be on tenterhooks for the rest of the year now. I don't know. I know 22 games isn't a lot of games, but to have 0 cut off, to have somebody suspended on game 21 for theoretically for the first 5 games, you know, for me it seems a little bit wrong, to be honest. But yeah, put Reese's question back up.
Oh, it's gone now.
Another one then, Reese. It's all right.
It was about how do you think
Aston
Villa's performance?
Yeah, Aston Villa are doing a little bit what we did last season. They're making a break to split away from the pack, but they're not yet within the top 4 teams. I think it's going to be interesting to see who we can keep hold of and how much money Carla Ward's going to have in summer, because there's a lot of people that maybe aren't getting playing time in the top 4 that might consider Villa now because of excuse me, Jordan Nobbs and Rachel Daly and the way they've been treated well, obviously, by Villa. And if Kirsty Hansen signs permanently, obviously you've got Lucy Staniforth that went there as well. They are building quite a strong team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Question I'll do from Rather. Question for all 3. What's the best way for United to maximise how they play in games with the squad to create more chances? I'll go with you first, Andy, with that one.
Curve your enthusiasm. It's just a bit wide there, mate, to be honest. I mean, it sounds like you could be Skinner's PA there. Maximise how we play in games. Sounds like an MUTV question that they might ask. No, I mean, obviously, you know, it's about each player making the opportunities that they're given. You know, it's about Skinner if he's going to rotate again. I don't think Skinner knows what he wants to do from one day to the next. Sometimes he says about rotation, others he says not about rotation. It's just about each player playing as best as he can, really.
Yeah,
what about you,
I think to create more chances, I think we've just got to pass forward more instead of passing back a lot, and that's what we keep doing. The more we pass back, the more errors we make because we're passing back, and then the forwards that are pushing up, and I think that's where that's our worry. We're passing back too much, so we just need to get it more out to the wings and more up to Russo, to Leah, to Garcia, to Keats, even to Honor and Hannah, because they're the fullbacks. They get it up the field a lot more quicker than anyone else can. And we see it at home games or the games we go to, and Honor is unmarked at some point, and it's like they're just passing in between them and going on to the other side where like the opposition are following, and Honor's just like stood there with no one marking her, where she could easily pass it and put it into the box for Russo or for Toon. So we just need to get it out to the wings instead of passing it back for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with the passing back, and on top of that as well, I do think that I think that we do need to rotate the squad. When you see your players not doing so well or retired, take them off, bring on a lively player, and I think that's something that we've really lacked as well. This is Skinner Paul for you. Facts. Let's have a say. Twelumber has asked, if we're allowed to keep only one, who would you keep, Honor or Russo? Either. Honor.
Honor.
I mean, that was pretty easy for us then, wasn't it, really?
By an absolute country mile. Now, I would have said my answer might have been different after the Euros, but Honor is a world class player, absolute world class player. Russo that's the potential to be, but it's a difficult one because Honor is Spanish, and more specific to that, she's Catalonian, and she would have dreamt about playing for Barca and scoring a Camp Nou. So at some point in her career, she will go to Barcelona. We can just hope that we can hold on to her a little bit. Little side point, bit of a jokey joke one for you. I think I mentioned it to Maisy yesterday. Jonathan Heraldez is the world's smallest man. I've never seen anybody who's not actually a dwarf look that small. I mean, the guy literally looked like I could pick him up and put him in my pocket when I was watching him next to the coach. He's tiny. So I don't know how he's managed to hide that. And I spent a lot of time, didn't we, Maisy, yesterday, looking for his height online, and you cannot find how tall he is online at all. So he's probably paid someone to avoid that information.
Hey there to American Road. The United Road. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Both Andy and Chloe are going to the Villa game. I'm not going. I've got my leaving due, so I will be very wasted, let's just say. American Cop has asked, do you think your team is ready for Champions League next season? I think we're really prepared for Champions League, but it's the matter of, will we keep our players under the same time? Because if we don't keep our players, I think we won't get to the groups of the Champions League.
110%. This is the thing. I mean, at the minute, we have to do Champions League now, or we will really struggle next season to keep our players. I think, are we going to keep Honor, Mary? Mary's got an option, but we're going to keep Honor, Mary, and Russo, all three of them? Probably not. But I hope we can at least extend Mary and keep Honor. And it just depends so much. It depends on whether or not that. I nearly said something I shouldn't have said then. That miscreant who is the coach for Spain is still in place for Euros. Because if he is, and if the 15 don't reconcile, then Garcia and Honor are going to be fresh for the qualifying. I don't want that for them. I want them to play in the World Cup. I'm sure they do as well. So there's a lot of different variables on that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you got any thoughts at all, Chloe?
Yeah, I think for me, I do think we are ready for Champions League, but I just think that we need some more experience, especially up front. I think we need that experience of Champions League mentality and the winning mentality. And I think if we do end up losing Russo, Honor, or Mary, and even Hayley Ladd, I think we're going to struggle. I know Hayley Ladd. I think she's got an option, or she is considering her contract. Mary, she's got an option. So I think it all just depends on, and I think players are waiting as well to see if we get Champions League. And I think if we do, we are going to keep a lot of them players. We are going to do options for the Champions League. So I think it all, like Andy did touch on, it's all depending on if we get this Champions League. And by winning against Aston Villa and Tottenham and even City, we can confirm our Champions League spot and be like, right, let's get these contracts sorted now. Let's get our players renewed before the end of the season, because fans will want to know who's going. Because if you go into the FA Cup final and we win or we don't win, we want to say goodbye to them players that are going. And obviously we're not going to know until at least July, but some of them are going to be in Australia playing in the World Cup, and we're going to be supporting them. And then after the World Cup, we're going to find out if that they've gone or that they've signed a new deal. We want that before the World Cup, so there's no pressure on them. Mm-hmm. So it all just depends on us getting that Champions League for us to hopefully attract players to come to us and play Champions League, and also save the players we've got now and keep him as part of our Champions League squad.
Yeah. Hey there as well to Football Fiera. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. And hey there as well, Catherine. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. Who do you want to target for next season? We'll start with you, Chloe, on that one.
I would say I would like Katie Robinson from Brighton. Because she's quick. She's a good youngster she can play anywhere on the pitch for me. So Katie Robinson would be good. But I would also say I'd like to target a forward. But I don't know who.
Who would you want? And is there anyone who's took your eye?
Katie Robinson. The problem with United is we've got a history of getting people that are brilliant a bit early, and then we either mess it up and they end up leaving or something along those lines. I think mainly of Salmon, Emily Salmon, who's obviously lighting up the NWSL, and we got a very, very early, and we, so you're trying to time these players. Relation to what I'd like to target, I like to target a number 2 keeper, because if you look at Arsenal with Muscovich and that Brazilian, I can't remember the name of, Berger, and who's number 2 for Chelsea? I can't even remember.
Muscovich.
Zinsberger for Arsenal, isn't it? Sorry, Arsenal's Zinsberger.
And Sanju.
Yeah, and City is McKeever, number 2, and Roebuck. If we are going to play Champions League, bit of Conti, bit of a high-level WSL next season, we're going to have to try and minimise the drop between whoever our number 1 keeper is and our number 2 keeper is. I know the best keepers don't want to stay on the bench. I know we've got possibilities with Safi Patel, who's very, very good, but I don't think she's there yet. I think it's time to let Rambo go fly. With our thanks, I don't think she's going to turn into a viable number 1 anytime soon for United. And I'd be interested to see who would take up the opportunity to be Mary's understudy, for want of a better word. So I would say that would be one of my areas I'd want to pick up. And also, I also think obviously Rachel Williams will probably have her last season next year. So again, how are we going to do in relation to the forward front, really? But we are kind of the problem is it's great to see Catherine as well. The only problem is with Skinner being so regimented on his 4-2-3-1 formation, we've got midfielders coming out of our ears, and it's sometimes easier to replace a midfielder than it is to replace a striker or a defender. But personally, I think if you want to think about what the most Champions League teams have, that even Barcelona with Panos and their reserve keeper, that Jonathan, my favourite little man, Jonathan, alternates. The top teams in women's football have quite a small drop between number 1 and number 2 keeper. We have quite a large drop at the moment. No offence to Sophie Bagley, and I think we need to rectify that before going to Champions League.
Yeah, I think for me, the only defender type of defender we need would be a fullback. I wouldn't say that's an urgent need now we've got Jane. But if I was going to say, I think we need a striker. And I've already mentioned it, but I would actually, depending on the situation of Spurs, I would look at Beth England, because if she forces that move out, I think she would be an absolute great move to have. Another one, I think there is a few players who is going to be up for contract for Chelsea, so Harder could be a potential option, maybe. For that attacking kind of threat, and we know that Pernille Harder, she is a fantastic player. And in terms of
Leon, though, isn't she, with Ericsson?
I think if we could get Harder, and if it is part of a package deal that if you get Harder, you get Ericsson, that would work in our favour.
But the price is going to be a roost, though, isn't it?
It would be, because they're going on as a free agent. You're not paying for them. They're going as a free agent. So, and to get them two in that are both Champions League experienced as well, that for me that's what's important. I think we need someone who is champion. I think we need players that are Champions League experienced, like what Maisy said. Bethany England, she's played for Chelsea, she's played in the Champions League. So I think if we get anyone, they need to either have been part of a team who have been in Champions League, or they need to have been playing in Europe.
I believe so. If I'm not mistaken, isn't there a PSG women's player who's a striker who's up for contract, or a midfielder?
Yes. Is it Kato?
No, she's recently extended.
Well, Anda Hegenberg is up at Lyon. She's potentially going to Barca, but if we could get her for Champions League, I'd be happy.
What's your view on what was said about the keepers? Because it is something
I agree.
Have.
I completely agree with you. And to be honest, if I was going to target anyone, Leipzig from Leicester, she would be what I'd personally take.
Yeah, I agree. I think we do need another. I think we do need a goalkeeper. I think Ramsey's earned her. Like, I think if Ramsey does go, she's going to be a top keeper elsewhere. She's wanting that number one, so she can get up to being a keeper in England. So if I was targeting, I would say, like you, Maisy, Leipzig, or like just anyone that's got a little bit. I know Andy will love me for saying this, but a little bit of height. Yeah, a bit taller.
Like, to be honest, like if I was obviously going to look at goalkeepers as well, one I quite like Franz, the Wolfsburg goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And looking at a defensive midfielder, I like Oberdorf.
Oberdorf, yeah, she's a good player.
And I believe we haven't ever had a German international either.
No.
And we haven't actually had one at Manchester United since Bastian Schweinsteiger. So it's been a very long time since we've actually had a German international, and I think it'd be great because we know they're still only quite young, with quite a lot of experience.
I think if we're talking in terms of a German player, I would like Gwen, who's a midfielder. She was a top. Like, she was one of the youngsters in the World Cup in 2019, and she was another. I think she was only 18 at the time, and obviously when they played in the Euros again, she was a top player as a youngster. So she could be a potential, but like we've touched on, we have got too many midfielders, and it'll all depend on who do we get rid of this season. In terms of who do we buy, because I also think that we need another defensive mid. I think we need that. I think we need someone who can fight and rival Hayley Ladd in that defensive mid.
Do you know who I'd take as well? I don't know if she plays defensive though. Would be Lena Magull. If I was looking at Germans as well.
Yeah, I think she'll be a good player, and I think she plays more of an attacking mid rather than a defensive mid. But at the minute,
her contract's up in the summer. Yeah. I don't know if it's in the summer or the summer after.
I think it's summer after, but I think she will sign for Bayern Munich again. I think she will renew. Just because she's playing well, and she's got that partnership with Georgia Stanway working well at Bayern. So I can't see her going.
That keeper, I forgot about that keeper that's on loan from Bayern, is a brilliant keeper for Leicester.
Yeah.
Whether or not Bayern would give it us in the Champions League, I doubt it. That's a problem. But I think they have signed her up again. She's going to be a top-class keeper going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey there, Daz. Thanks for coming in. Hope that you are well. I love the optimism considering we are known as Lionesses FC. And to end on Catherine's point, as Arsenal and Chelsea have proven this year, an expanded squad is absolutely vital to compete in the Champions League and English competitions.
Yeah.
But we'll wrap it up here now anyway. Thank you both, Andy and Chloe, for coming on. Great show as always. Andy, would you like to shout out your socials and your score prediction?
Yeah, great to be on as always. Really enjoyed these pods. You've had me on a couple of long shifts last couple of days, haven't we? With the pods and stuff like that. It's been great. Score prediction. Oh, Rachel Daly can score. That's a problem. This might give me a heart attack, but 3-2 United. Something along those lines. That's the only problem. I can just see Rachel Daly, and I can see Jordan Nobbs, and I can see me staring at Skinner in the way that I always stare at Skinner, and a few other things like that. What about you, Chloe?
Thank you for having me on, Maisy. It's been a fantastic show. Looking forward to next week already. But my score prediction is going to be 3-1 United. My Twitter's there, Chloe Riley 14. And again, thank you for having me on, Maisy. I've loved it. Loved this podcast today.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed it as well. I'm going to go for a tight 2-1 win for Manchester United. I think we're going to score in the first half, then concede in the second, and then we'll get a Rachel Williams winner. That's how I feel like it's going to be. But thank you both for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always. Enjoy the game on Friday. I'll be streaming a few times this week, so check out the channel, and we'll see you then. Take care. Bye bye.
Yeah.